Hi everyone. Today we're talking about the passive voice and how to recognize the passive, how to use it in a sentence, and how to understand the structure of the passive voice in the English language. Okay, we've probably seen or heard many sentences containing passive structures. So we have two sentences at the very beginning given with yellow lines to emphasize the passive structures in them. As the goal was approached by the opposing team, the ball suddenly was kicked towards the upper right corner. If it wasn't blocked by me, the regional championship would be lost. Okay, so here's a short story with containing four passive structures. We see three of them are past simple passive: was approached, was kicked, wasn't blocked, and finally we have would be lost. So the question is, why passive? Um, um, these photos remind you of the old version of computers with many message statuses, such as these given here. Your message has been sent. Your message is being sent. So we have two passive structures: has been sent, the process has been finished, and is being sent, which means the process is ongoing. The action hasn't finished yet. Okay. Or many notices, such as this one on our left. Parents, socks must be worn while in Ronald's play place. Socks must be worn. Okay, so this is passive structure. Must be worn. Okay. Also two cool passive structures on a t-shirt. Mistakes were made. The passive voice was used. Okay. Two passive structures were made, was used. Okay. Hopefully after this video lecture, everybody will learn how to use passive properly. Also a cool funny notice. No trespassing. Violators will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. Cool, funny one. Will be shot as a passive structure. Future passive structure. And the last cartoon says, you are being replaced by a machine. Cool one. A robot also doing nothing, basically. So it's not difficult to replace somebody who's doing nothing. You are being replaced. A machine is replacing you. You are being replaced. Okay, the question is, why do we need passive voice? Passive voice is usually used in newspapers, newspaper articles, mainly titles and news. Okay. Then in formal notices, some of them we've seen in this presentation, and also in scientific or technical writing. So use of passive structure is common in newspapers and formal notices, scientific or technical writing, for several reasons. We use the passive voice when the agent is unknown. Basically, we don't know who did something. My car was stolen last night. I don't know who stole my car. So the agent is unknown. Person who did something is unknown. Okay. We also use passive to emphasize the action rather than the agent. The factory was painted during the war. We're interested in the factory. Okay. No, not who did the painting. The factory was painted. Action is in the focus of the sentence. And finally, when the agent is generally understood, the thief was arrested, obviously by the police. Okay, so it's not necessary to say by the police because it is generally understood. Who arrests people? The police. Okay. We also use passive when we don't want to say who the agent is or was. A mistake was made. In an active sentence, I made a mistake, or you made a mistake, or my best friend, my colleague made a mistake. So if I don't want to say who made a mistake, I say a mistake was made. Somehow I want to, let's say, hide or make it secret, or not to blame anybody for the problem which occurred. Okay. Also, we use passive to make statements more polite or formal. My new dress has been ruined. My new dress has been ruined. Okay. We also don't want, basically, we don't want to say who ruined the dress, who did the bad thing. So it sounds politely and more formal if we put the action in the focus of the sentence. My new dress has been ruined. We don't say you have ruined my dress. Okay. And to put emphasis on the agent, the pyramids were built by the ancient Egyptians. Okay, so the focus of the sentence is agent. The pyramids were built by the ancient Egyptians, but you see that the agent is emphasized by the by section. Who did that? By somebody, by someone, at the very end of a sentence. Okay, that's how we emphasize the agent. Here's the passive structure. Okay, the church was built in 1275. Okay, inactive, we would say they built this church in 1275. Okay, so we see how subject of a passive sentence basically is the object of the active sentence. Okay, this church was built, they built this church. Okay. Vice versa process. Da Vinci painted Mona Lisa in an active one. So somebody did something. A subject is doing something to or on the object. And in a passive one, Mona Lisa was painted by Da Vinci. So the object of an active sentence becomes a subject of the passive one. Mona Lisa was painted by Da Vinci. We also have by section here for the agent because it is important. Da Vinci is the author, he is the artist, and the famous one. How to make passive? We use different tenses of the verb be, is, was, is being, have been, will be, and so on. Okay. And the past participle form of the main verb. So, the passive verb structure has at least two members. At least. Okay? To be and the past participle of the main verb. Okay? This article was written by a well-known journalist. Was written. We have at least two members of the verb structure. Be and the past participle of the main verb. Write in this example. Okay? If we want to present the passive, let's say in a chart or in a table to make it more clear, we'll use some of the most common tenses in active form and try to put them in the passive form. Okay? So for the present simple tense, we use MR is as be forms, okay, plus past participle. Okay. English is spoken here. English is spoken here. Okay. Or books are used here, for example, if we use plural. Present continuous tense, MR is plus being plus past participle. In a sentence, the house is being painted. The house is being painted right now, at the moment. Okay. Past simple, was, were, plus past participle. I wasn't invited, but I went. I wasn't invited, but I went. We also can see that this to be form is negative. Wasn't, not was, wasn't. Okay, past continuous. Was or were plus being also. So you can see that we add being whenever we have a continuous tense being dealt with. Okay. I felt I was being watched. I felt I was being watched, meaning somebody was watching me. Okay. And present perfect, have or has plus been plus past participle. Has Mary been told? This is a question, interrogative form. Has Mary been told? Present perfect. Okay. Some more to go. For the past perfect, we use had been plus past participle. I knew I had been forgotten. I knew I had been forgotten. Okay. Future simple, using will. We use will be plus past participle. You will be told soon. You'll be told soon. You will be told. You'll be told soon. Okay. Going to for future. We use MR is plus going to be plus past participle. Who is going to be invited? Who's going to be invited? And modal verbs such as can, may, should, would, must are used in passive. Okay. But we also add be plus past participle, the main verb. It may be destroyed this week. It may be destroyed this week. Okay. Basically, this is the main structure. So if we have an active tense given, if we have in an active sentence given present simple tense, in the passive formation we use MR is plus past participle of the given verb to make a passive. So this is a structure for the main tenses: present simple, present continuous, past simple, past continuous, present perfect, past perfect, and modals. Okay, modal verbs. So a cool thing would be to pay attention to be sections or the differences with be or being or being. Okay, so we have being in continuouses, let's say continuouses, being in present continuous, being in the past continuous. You have been in present perfect and past perfect. Okay, and be with modal verbs. Okay, try to make a mental picture out of and do as many sentences as possible. So try to make a mental image in your head of the chart and do sentences to practice, and finally you'll find passive quite easy to use. Additional notes. The passive can be used only with transitive verbs. Give, write, take. Okay? With those verbs which use objects, definitely. And with verbs that take two objects, it's more usual to begin the passive sentence with a person. For example, this is an active sentence. They offered Anne a job. They, subject, offered, it's a predicate or verb, An object, a job is also an object. So with the passive structure we say Anne was offered a job.